Hi! So this feels a bit strange because I've been absent on this channel for so long. So I'm back, kind of. I've been away for ages because I had A-levels and then I really sadly lost my grandma. She passed away like a week and a bit ago, which I talk about a bit in my vlog, but I don't really intend on getting into a lot of detail here because I don't want to bring that all up again, and this is supposed to be a fun video. So that's why I've been gone, but I'm back now and I'm really happy to be doing this again. I really missed it, so let's get into the video. So like I've said, I've been so busy and I was looking through the videos on my channel and I haven't really done any kind of wrap-ups because I haven't really been reading a lot because of revision and I'm in my last year of school. I didn't really have time to read as much as I usually do. So when it came to the end of the month, I only really read like 3 or 4 books and I didn't feel that warranted a wrap-up. And then the ones that I did read, I didn't really do any in-depth reviews for any of these apart from one of them. So I feel like I need to update people on what I've been reading since this is primarily a bookish channel, so that's what I'm going to be doing today. The book that I just finished was Room by Emma Donoghue. I thought it was really interesting how this was told from the point of view of a 5-year-old. So basically the story is a mother and her son who's 5 who have been kept kind of in captivity in this man's shed. Basically he kidnapped the girl and then, you know, abused her, raped her, and she gave birth to this young boy and they're both being held captive. I thought it was really interesting how the author chose to explore something really dark through the eyes of a child, because there was a really stark contrast between the kind of twisted events that the little boy is describing, but the way he describes them, it kind of is very detached and you can tell he doesn't really understand. And that was a really interesting perspective for me, obviously because I don't remember what it's like being 5. But I found myself really wanting to get into the head of the mother, and I was hoping we might switch perspective at some point, but it doesn't. It stays in the little boy's head for the whole book. The way he experiences the world is obviously very unique and that's very interesting, but I really wanted to know more of her kind of viewpoint, which is why I really want to see the film, because I feel like that would be a more balanced exploration of their characters. But all in all, I did really enjoy this as well. Also, somehow, I don't really know how, because I've had no time, but I've gotten quite invested in the Throne of Glass series. Yeah, I don't know why this took me so long, but yeah, so I already had the Assassin's Blade. I'd had it for ages because I knew that this took place before the first book in the series, which is Throne of Glass, if you don't know. So I was going to read this first, but then I heard from a few people that because Throne of Glass is published first before this, it makes more sense to read that one first because it gives you an intro into the kind of world and all of that. So I had to wait for ages until I remembered to buy Throne of Glass, and I did, and I read it and I absolutely loved it. And then I went on and I read The Assassin's Blade, which again broke my heart. Sam, why? Oh, it was so heartbreaking, but so good. And then I went on to read Crown of Midnight. This book broke me in all the best ways. I gave it 5 stars. It's definitely one of my favourite books. Just all of the character development that took place in this, the way it was written, everything that happened. I couldn't fault any of it, and it was beautiful. This year I also got back into reading Rick Riordan, which is awesome because I really missed his writing and just his stories in general. They always have such a magical feel and are always so funny and just adventurous and amazing. And so I read Magnus Chase first, and I just really loved this. I think I started this in like December, but I didn't finish it until midway through January or something. But so good. It goes into Norse mythology. I had difficulty saying this when I hauled this like ages ago, but anyway. And I thought it was so interesting because whereas I'd heard of kind of Greek myths before and Roman myths before, and I was kind of being reminded of them in Percy Jackson and Heroes of Olympus, this was all completely new to me and I just loved it so much. I'm so excited for the next book. Also, Trials of Apollo is so good. I read it and oh my god, it's so good, and it's so nice to see Percy come back. Although he doesn't really feature that much in this. I kind of thought he would be in it a bit more, but I didn't feel like I needed him, if that makes sense. I love Percy as a character, but I felt like Apollo, his uniqueness and his humour and his kind of liveliness really kind of made up for the gap that I guess Percy and gang would leave when coming back into this world. And I just thought this was so good. Apollo is such a funny character, such a funny narrator, and each of the chapter beginnings are haikus, and they're just really bad haikus, and they're just amazing. They're so funny. I might try and find one that I particularly enjoy, and it does kind of sum up what happens in the chapter, and it's really, really funny. Hoodlums punch my face. I would smite them if I could. Mortality blows. So yeah, it's amazing. I really enjoyed this. It's a really light, really fun read, and I'm really excited to see how this story and this story evolves and continues. I also read Lady Midnight because how could I not? I'm so invested in the Shadowhunter world. Cassandra Clare has my heart. She does. And I loved this so much. I won't go into too much detail because I have a full video review on this book, but it was amazing. If you haven't read this yet and you're a fan of the other books, please do. And lastly, because I've been so busy with exams and stuff and I haven't really had time to kind of read a lot, I've been getting more into graphic novels because obviously they take me far less time to read, so I feel when I'm not able to kind of commit myself to a whole book, I will tend to reach for a graphic novel, and I've read some that I've really enjoyed. So I managed to get through all 6 volumes of the black editions of Death Note. Oh my god, Death Note is so good. I love the art style, I love the premise, it just drew me in. Like every time I picked up a new volume I was kind of glued to it for a few days, I just couldn't put it down. I really enjoyed the first 4 volumes, but I'd say it kind of hits, not a wall, but it kind of slows down towards the end. I felt like the last 2 volumes, while they were interesting and good, they weren't really needed in terms of the fact they just complicated the plot a lot more than I felt like it needed to be. Whereas I used to come to the first few volumes and just be really excited to jump back into the story, whereas towards the latter volumes I kind of felt like I had to have an hour and sit down and kind of wrap my head around the plot and what had just happened. It gets a lot more complex as it goes on, and I kind of preferred the kind of lightness in the beginning. Not lightness because it's quite a dark story, but I mean the kind of ability to interact with it in the beginning, because it doesn't need complicated, it's just amazing. But I still definitely recommend this. It's so good. So if you haven't gotten into the series yet, please do. I also started reading Saga, which I really love. I've read now volumes 1 and 2, and I think there are 5 currently out, and the 6th one is coming out in July, maybe? I'm not sure. Soon. But it's so good. It's basically kind of like Romeo and Juliet, but in space, with a lot more swearing and nudity and blood, probably. But I really love it. I think the writing is so good and the art's really beautiful, and it's narrated by the child who starts off the series as a baby, and she's kind of looking back on her kind of origin story, I guess. And I love the way it's written, and I love the characters, and I recommend that a lot. And lastly, a graphic novel that I just completely fell in love with is Gotham Academy, and I haven't really read much of the Batman comic books or any of the Gotham comic books, and I don't watch Gotham. I haven't seen any of the Batman films, but I still really love this. But it's basically like about friendship, and there's a haunted house and a mystery, and it all takes place in Gotham, and it does have some kind of links to the Batman comics, but not so much so that you won't understand it if you haven't read them, if that makes sense. But the art style is amazing, the story is amazing, and just the colouring as well. I found myself just really appreciating how each page was coloured. There were times where I'd like turn the page and just kind of stare at it for a minute before I remembered that I was reading and that I should, you know, probably read it instead of just stare at it. But it's so beautiful and just really good, so I recommend that as well. Thanks so much for watching. I understand it's kind of a different style of video and it's probably a lot to take in at once rather than doing it in monthly installments, but I hope you enjoyed it regardless. Definitely let me know if you did, and I'll see you soon. Bye!